Hello, this is Susan. This screencast today is going to show you a think aloud, read aloud modeling of your article that you have to read. So this week you are doing two basic things. You are reading an article on resiliency from the American Psychological Association. So you're reading that, understanding that, and then as a follow-up task, you are actually putting together a pre-write outline and a rough draft on your own exemplification paper talking about resiliency. So, first step, you need to understand that your paper number 3, exemplification, is building from this article, from this reading. So, therefore, this article is really important for you to understand. We are going to tackle understanding this article. I'm going to do some modeling, how to find the structure of this article. Let's start with looking at paper number 3, exemplification pre-write outline. If you have an article to read in a class and you know you have a paper, follow-up paper that you'll be writing, it's always a good idea to first look at what is required of you for the paper. So in other words, out of all the information in the article that you have to read, what is it that you're going to be looking for? What key points or key parts are going to be expected of you to write a paper on. So we know this by going into Connect and looking at paper number 3, exemplification pre-write. So you will be writing an outline in Connect of your paper based on that article. So let's see, what parts of the article do we really have to know? Well, for your pre-write outline, you will be expected to write the definition of resiliency in your own words. So that is one thing we'll be looking for in the article. What is the definition of resiliency? And then we will not copy exactly from the article, but we will put it in our own words. So the definition, we have to, as we read the article, we need to be looking for that. And then in terms of the body of key points, what are we looking for? Well, we have a resiliency strategy, another resiliency strategy, and yet a third resiliency strategy. So we have to pay special attention to any list or any discussion of resiliency strategies in the article in order for us to write our pre-write outline. And then the conclusion of the outline will be an overall summary of what resiliency means in my life. So that tells me I'm going to have to take the definition of resiliency that the American Psychological Association gives. I'm going to have to pay attention to the strategies of resiliency. And then I'm also going to have to make meaning of the concept uh, and look at my own life. What does resiliency mean, not only to the American Psychological Association, but what does it mean to me in my own life? So this is a structure of what we're looking for in that article. We're not just reading the article, plowing in and reading sentence by sentence. We want to look at a roadmap. What do we have to know? What are we expected to know? And this is our roadmap. This pre-write outline tells us what we have to know in order to write our own paper. So let's switch to the article. So the first thing in that outline, we had to look for the definition of resiliency. Here's our article. We have an introduction, and then we have some words in bold. So that should tell us something worth looking at. It involves resilience. I'm going to put on the highlight. There we go. And we're we're going to highlight this. So far, resilience, an ongoing process that requires time and effort and engages people in taking a number of steps. Is that a definition? Does that tell us what exactly resilience means? Not quite. We know to read on. And in fact, this next paragraph, the American Psychological Association reports that resilience is, okay, here's our definition. So we're going to highlight that. What is resilience? The process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or even significant sources of stress such as family and relationship problems, serious health problems, or workplace and financial stressors. So that gives us the definition. Are we finished? No, we have more to go in this paragraph. Not everything will be the exact definition, so we want to wade through it and get an idea of which sentences give definition and which sentences are more explanation sentences. Once again, resilience is, so that tells us, oh, here's more about the definition. Resilience is what? Bouncing. Let's highlight that. Okay, we're highlighting resilience is bouncing back from difficult experiences. And then the rest of the sentences in this paragraph explain that. What do you mean by that? So it's bouncing back from difficult experiences. It's a process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma. And then down here, as we're reading, this is, I think, a key point. Resilience is not a trait that people either have or do not have. It can be learned and developed by anyone. So that's a good thing to know. It's not that you either have resilience or you don't. You're born that way or you're not. Resilience is a trait. It's something that you can develop. So here's our definition information. We've highlighted that in the paper number 3. We want to take what we've highlighted and translate this into our own wording. But we've highlighted in this article. So now we know that part. We know the definition. This next part in the article talks about factors. Now, factors weren't mentioned on the outline. The pre-write outline did not require us to list factors. So we want to read this, go over it. You know, we want to read the whole article, but we're really paying close attention to the parts that are required for the paper. So we're reading this just to gain an understanding. And then right down here, strategies for building resilience. This was in the pre-write outline. So this part is really important. Strategies. We want to pay careful attention to that. We have an explanation of strategies. And then we have, if you look down here, we have bulleted items for strategies. We have many strategies. Strategies for building resilience. The definition said it's something that you're not just born with, you can develop. How do you develop it? Well, there are strategies. There are ways of developing resilience. These are the strategies. So we want to read each of these strategies, know that these are separate strategies. We want to highlight them and then take time to read, understand what those strategies are. Right now I'm just highlighting. So I'm going through this article. I am highlighting all the strategies, and there are many, many strategies. I'm just going through, and then of course I would be taking time to read the explanation for each. Okay, so we have a long list of strategies. many, many different ways you can build resilience. And then when we keep reading, we're finished with strategies. This is a new section. Staying flexible is the key. So this last piece of information is a summary, functions as a summary. So you have the definition, you have the strategies. What about all of that? Just know that staying flexible is the key. And once again, know that it's an ongoing process. We have our strategies. We know that staying flexible is the key. We have the definition. So good. So we've pulled out of this article what the most important information. Let's go back to the pre-write and put everything together. Definition of resiliency in my own words. I would look at the highlighted information in the paper. I'd put it in my own words. Now, we highlighted many strategies. What do we have to do with that for the paper? For your paper, body of key points. First of all, point one, you have to pick out of all of those strategies, one strategy I am currently making progress on in my life. List and give example here. Point two, another strategy I am currently making progress on in my life. List and give example here. So I want to find two strategies out of everything listed I know I'm currently making progress on. And I'm going to list the two, and I'm going to explain not just the strategy, but why am I saying I'm making progress on it. So in the paper, I would be really explaining how this particular strategy is working for me, how this particular strategy is working for me. And then point three is a bit different. A strategy, something from the list, that is a challenge for me and I would like to keep working on. List and give example here. So for my exemplification outline, I'm going to pick two strategies I'm currently making progress on. I'm doing them in my life right now, and I would explain in the paper what specifically I'm doing, how I'm making progress, and then I am going to pick a strategy that's still a challenge for me. When I look at all the strategies, I'm going to pick one and I will identify that as, wow, that's something to work on. It's still a challenge. And I would explain. Let's switch over to the strategies. We have a long list. I'm just making this part up. I am going to make a list of, I'm looking right now for two things I know I do well. Oh, okay. I might pick this, establish and maintain connections, good relationships with family members, friends, and others. Maybe, and it talks about belonging in civic groups, faith-based organizations, local groups. So I'm going to pick that, possibly, and use that on my pre-write outline. Yes, I maintain good connections. I would talk in my paper about how I stay in close touch with my family, friends. I belong to civic groups. I am a leader of my daughter's 4-H organization, work with kids, etc. That's one. I'm going to look for another one. Monitor your exposure to media coverage of violence. Yes, I do that well. I'm just making this up. Yes, I do this well. Um, avoid overindulging yourself with extremely violent media. I do that. So I would, in my paper, pick this and say, yes, I'm making great progress on that. I do listen to the news daily. I do read the paper daily. But in my personal life, when I choose what TV shows to watch or what movies to go to, I limit my exposure to violence. I don't